The story introduces our protagonist, Reggie Toma, an adult whose vice is playing video games. While he is in the middle of the game, his mother since it has already been 2 years since he left his last one. Worried, she asks him if he is no longer interested in teaching. She admits that she knows how hard it was back then, but she says this because she is concerned about him. Seeing that he does not answer and stays silent, she simply leaves. Because of this, the protagonist starts looking for a job where he does not have to interact with anyone. Then he finds an ad that offers work in a calm and relaxing environment in the mountains. Reggie exclaims that this is exactly what he is looking for. He reads that the job includes full insurance and hot springs, but then he continues reading and finds out that it is a teaching job at Shianui School, an all-girls school. This disappoints him, but when he sees that they are specifically looking for candidates with human traits who are dedicated to their students, Reggie decides to submit his application. The next day, we see him arrive at a forested area. Confused, he wonders if this is really the correct place. To check, he tries to look at the map they sent him. However, when he opens the envelope, he finds another envelope inside. This seems strange to him since he does not remember it being there. He opens the orange envelope and takes out a ring from inside. The protagonist puts it on, and then starts looking at the map to find the way. He notices that, according to the map, there is a path next to the bus stop with a large cherry blossom tree. He does not remember seeing anything there a moment ago. However, when he lifts his head, as if by magic, the path appears, and so does the cherry tree. Ignoring this very unusual event, Ray enters the forest. After walking for a while, he finds the school. When he goes inside, a man greets him and says good morning. The man nervously asks if he is the new teacher. The protagonist answers yes. The man welcomes him to the school and introduces himself as Satoru Josino, the math teacher. While inviting him inside, he mentions that he heard Ray is the new social studies teacher. Ray confirms this and says that he taught social studies for 4 years at his previous school. As they walk through the entrance, Ray notices some jars. Satoru tells him that they are unique to their school. This makes Ray think, but he does not ask any more questions. When they reach the teacher's lounge, they are greeted by a light blue-haired woman named Yuki Sewe. The science teacher greets the protagonist and, taking his hand, tells him he can call her Yuki. He does so, but suddenly she moves closer to his face, runs her hand along his cheek, and then steps back, saying that he had an eyelash on his face. Yes, very strange. This leaves Ray confused. Satoru then asks Yuki if she thinks it is appropriate to behave that way with someone she has just met. The teacher apologizes and explains that he simply caught her attention. After apologizing for the awkward moment, she tells him that the principal is waiting for him in his office. After leaving his backpack, we see the protagonist standing nervously in front of the principal's office. However, he remembers the principal as a polite and modest old man. Feeling unsure, he tells himself that it is surprising he was chosen for the job. Still, he does not plan to back down. Since he was given this opportunity, he decides to live up to the principal's expectations. With that, he knocks on the door and enters. He introduces himself properly, but when he raises his head, he realizes the person in front of him looks completely different from the old man he remembered. The principal welcomes him to the school. Shocked, Ray asks, "Who the hell is the old man?" The man introduces himself as Karazuma, the principal of the school. Ray does not believe him and demands to see the old man he saw earlier. Karazuma explains that the old man was only a disguise. Seeing that Ray does not understand, he explains that to check which humans are suitable for the school, they use a spell that makes him appear as a handsome and elegant man. However, that illusion is no longer active. He also mentions that a similar spell protects the school and prevents people from finding it. The ring on Ray's finger has a gem that cancels that illusion, which explains why he was able to see the path. Karazuma then explains that the school has all kinds of unusual students, which is why so much camouflage is needed. Simply put, he tells Ray that the students are not human. They are
And guys,
dragon girls, elves, mermaids, and more. The school exists to teach non-human beings what it means
it
to be
will
human.
automatically
He adds that the students each have their own reasons for wanting to become
end the
human.
video
Becoming one is
if
not easy. Because of this,
I
teachers
have
who guide them
not
carry a much
enough
heavier responsibility than those in a
storage.
normal school. After saying this, he calls the protagonist by his name and asks if he is willing to teach at the school. For a moment, Ray hesitates, but determined to change, he accepts. He explains that the curriculum covers general education, more or less like a human school. Then there is human nature and humanity, where students learn how to feel, think, and act like humans. Any behavior considered not human results in point deductions, which are reflected in their report cards. Next is social skills and relationships, where students learn how to communicate, cooperate, and show empathy toward others, the foundation of human relationships. This is evaluated by their classmates. Each student has a jar placed at the entrance, and other students can vote by adding points to it. Classes are divided into beginner, intermediate, and advanced levels. Only those who meet the requirements at the end of the term can move on, or they can graduate and become human. The next day, he arrives at the school for his first day of teaching. Before entering, he prepares himself to appear strict but kind. He opens the door and is amazed to see that all of the students are semi-human. Putting that aside, he introduces himself as the tutor of the advanced class and the one responsible for teaching them how to be human. He adds that he likes video games and fantasy. After that, he asks if anyone has any questions. An orange-haired girl raises her hand and asks if he has a girlfriend. Ray tells her not to hurt him emotionally with such a typical question, answering that of course he does not. Hearing this, the pink-haired girl says that he will probably go after one of them. Ray makes it clear that he is not that kind of person. Then the brown-haired girl asks if he could be interested in someone like Minazuki, since he does not seem interested in the pink-haired girl. Tired of the same jokes, Ray asks them to stop seeing him as a danger, promising that he will not do anything. Putting the jokes aside, he asks them to introduce themselves. First is the orange-haired Tobari Janeda, a two-headed shrike, whose dream is to become human in order to create music. Next is Sui Sami, a rabbit girl whose goal is to become human so she can repay the kindness a human once showed her. The third is the light blue-haired Kyoka Minazuki, a mermaid who wants to become human so she can dance. Lastly, there is Isaki Ogami, a wolf girl who wishes to become human so she can end her incomplete existence as a werewolf. After hearing each of their reasons, Ray becomes thoughtful. Tabari asks if he is afraid of them because they are not human or if he finds them disgusting. Ray replies that not at all. Even though it is a big surprise, he says he is actually happy. He admits that he always thought demi-humans were just fictional beings, so he was glad to discover that they truly exist. Tobari asks if that is because he likes video games and fantasy. Ray answers that partly yes, but mainly because he hates humans and is not good at dealing with them. That is why he thought it would be better to teach students who are not human. Hearing this, all of the girls are shocked. Tabari asks why he hates humans. Ray replies that there are many reasons. The girls ask him to explain since their wish is to become human. With no other choice, Ray tells them that humans are selfish and do not care about others. They take advantage of kind people, and honesty brings no reward. No matter how hard you try to please others, if you make one mistake, they will not hesitate to trample you. That is why, seeing how excited they are to enter the human world, he felt unsettled. Tobari interrupts him, saying that she cannot help but admire humans. Kyoka agrees, pointing out that human culture, their way of life, and their desires are new to them as non-humans.
As Ray keeps talking, Sui shouts at him to be quiet. She adds that there are many things they would not be able to do if they became human.
Isaki joins in, saying that is true. After all, the non-human world also has its own problem. Because of this, Tobari says she can say that humans do not seem so bad after all. She then asks Ray what he thinks. The protagonist reaffirms his hatred for humans, but now he sounds more unsure. That night, back at home, Ray wonders what he is doing, thinking that they probably no longer trust him after leaving such a terrible first impression. The next day when class ends, the girls cheer because it is lunchtime. Kyoka wonders what the dorm caretaker cooked today. Hearing this, Ray asks about life in the dorm. Sui gets irritated, saying that he did not phrase his question properly. So Ray asks if they all get along well in the dorm. Sui replies coldly, telling him not to invade their privacy. Then Kyoka asks the protagonist if he is going to eat in the dining hall, and if so, she would like to join him. Ray thanks her, seeing this as an opportunity to get to know each other better. Sui then confronts Kyoka, accusing her of trying to win over the teacher. The light blue-haired girl asks if Sui also wants to come with them. The pink-haired girl answers yes right away. Seeing them argue, Ray comments that even though they are his students, it makes him blush to see girls fighting over him, especially him of all people. Hearing this, Sui makes something clear to him. They are fighting to earn points, not because of him. Of course, Ray already knew this, but it still hurt to hear it. Because of that, Kyoka suggests that everyone eat together in the dining hall. Tobari agrees, and the others do as well. In the next scene, we see the protagonist returning after buying something. He feels relieved, since it seems the girls did not lose too much trust in him. Suddenly, he hears a scream. He immediately runs over to see what is happening, but Sui yells at him to be quiet. When he looks at Kyoka, he notices that she is trembling non-stop. He approaches her and asks what is wrong. The light blue-haired girl explains that there seems to have been a mistake with her meal. Tobari explains that Kyoka cannot eat kamaboko. Kyoka confirms this. After all, she is a mermaid, so she does not like fish or seafood very much. She learned to tolerate grilled fish and sashimi, but kamaboko feels too cruel to her. Rei understands this, since it is made by grinding fish. Hearing that, Kyoka starts trembling again. Sui scolds him for scaring her, so Rei apologizes. Kyoka wonders what to do, because she feels terrible about leaving food that was made with so much love. Rei is about to offer to switch meals with her, but Isaki beats him to it. Kyoka thanks her, calling her a hero. Isaki offers her an omelet and even feeds it to her by hand. Rei is shocked to see that they actually do this in real life. He wonders if this is normal in an all-girls school. Then Kyoka screams again, this time because of shikwasa. In response, Rei sacrifices himself by eating it right away, but he accidentally chokes. As he reaches for tea, Tobari takes the cup from his hands and starts explaining some customs related to it to the girls. Rei cannot take it anymore and yells for them to give the cup back. Once he is out of danger, he says in relief that he almost died. Suddenly, Kyoka thanks him for risking his life to save her. The other girls also praise him, saying he was amazing, but of course Sui quickly brings him back down to earth. The protagonist just smiles, and as he watches them talk, he thinks that maybe he really can work in this place after all.
I'm crazy strong, huh? You good? Right, sorry, completely fair. Let's see,
On a new workday,
Sorry guys about the ad.
as he walks, he looks at his ring and remembers what the director told him. He must always wear it and never lose sight of it. The ring cancels the anti-perception spell, which allows him to enter the campus, but it has another important function. If he removes it outside the school, he will lose his memories of being here, and they will be replaced with false memories. Humans must not know about this place. If he stops working at the school, he must return the ring. If he removes it to forget everything and live as a normal human, even if he loses his memories, he can recover them when he touches the ring again. Because of this, the director advised him to ask another teacher to keep the ring for him and return it when needed. Back in the present, Rei says that he will start from zero as a teacher at Shiranoi Academy. He arrives at the school and hears a scream. He goes inside to see what is happening, but Sue tells him to be quiet. Rei approaches Minasuki and asks what is wrong. There was another mix-up with her meal. She was given Satsuma age, a fried fish cake, so she cannot eat it. Rei suggests exchanging meals, but Tobari steps in first and feeds Minasuki with her own food, placing it directly in her mouth. Rei thinks that if it were him, he would probably do the same, but that would be too much and could get him fired. He then notices that everyone has different lunches. Isaki explains that they are given human food to help them adapt, but today they were given their favorite meals, so they would not feel stressed. This makes sense to Rei, since food meant for humans would be strange for them. For example, Minasuki only eats seaweed and avoids fish. Usami eats only carrots, Saki eats a lot of meat, and Aneda is the most normal because she is an omnivorous bird. This last point makes Rei curious, so he asks Aneda if eating eggs does not bother her. She answers that it does not, because she is not a chicken. Rei decides not to think too much about it and comments that it must be very difficult to prepare so many different meals for so many species. However, the problem of them eating each other cannot happen because they are humanoids. Usami even threatens Ogami if she ever thinks about eating her. All of this makes Rei realize that he still has a lot to learn. Then Aneda asks if he has free time after lunch, since they have physical education and he can learn more about them at the gym. Rei accepts the proposal. The scene then moves to physical education. Today, they continue with the dance they left off before. Usami goes first, followed by Ogami, then Aneda, and finally Minasuki. Although Minasuki looks more like she is playing than dancing, it is clear that she is enjoying herself and is grateful for being watched. The teacher thanks them for their participation and says that she is glad they enjoyed it as much as she did. She adds that if Minasuki improves her rhythm and posture, she will do much better. Minasuki replies that she will keep that in mind. Suddenly, the teacher has trouble with the radio and asks the protagonist to stay for a while to watch over the girls while she goes to get a replacement. Roy agrees. The teacher leaves, promising not to take long, while the protagonist admires the beautiful old radio. He then hears the girls arguing. Sui tells Kyoka that she is terrible at dancing. The blue-haired girl apologizes, saying that she simply got carried away. Even so, the rabbit girl insists that she dances badly even though she claims to love it. She bluntly says that Kyoka is not good at dancing and never will be, not even if she becomes human. Rei intervenes and asks her not to say that. However, Sui insists that it is the truth, saying that everything would be easier if wanting something were enough. The teacher is about to say something, but Kyoka stops him and says not to worry. She admits that she also thinks the same, fully aware that she dances very badly. However, she is certain that no one loves dancing more than she does, and that she has risked everything to be in that school. Because of that, she believes her determination is genuine and that she will prove that determination alone can lead to success. Sui becomes irritated by this attitude and says that Kyoka does not feel frustrated because she already gave up, hiding it behind arrogance. Kyoka responds that her desire to learn greatly surpasses her frustration. Sui insists that Kyoka does not truly believe that, and claims that the real reason she does not feel bad is because she looks down on others. Kyoka strongly denies this. Taking Sui's hand, she tells her that she is wonderful and that she has learned many things from her. She explains that Sui always strives for perfection, has great goals, constantly wants to improve herself, and that these are qualities she deeply respects. Upon hearing this, Sui blushes and shouts at her to be quiet. After classes, Rei meets Kyoka in the hallway and asks her for a moment to talk. She agrees. Rei then tells her that she is amazing, because she answered everything perfectly. Despite Sui's very harsh criticism, Kyoka tells him that he is a good teacher. She says a phrase in English, "Tomorrow is another day," and adds that she simply wants to keep becoming someone she can be proud of. Rei recognizes the phrase, noting that it is a reference to Gone with the Wind. Kyoka then shares that there was a time when she hated herself because she was under immense pressure due to her very strict upbringing. She asks Rei if he knows who Poseidon is. Rei answers yes, saying he knows him as the god of the sea who appears in many video games. Kyoka reveals that Poseidon is her ancestor, and as his descendant, she is expected to become the guardian of the sea. That is why her parents strongly opposed her becoming human. However, her life changed on a decisive day. One night, when she surfaced, she witnessed humans dancing on a ship. That sight captivated her, and her dark days were suddenly filled with color. For the first time, she found a reason to live. Because of that, she is willing to give up her life if she cannot become human. Rei is confused and asks what she means. Kyoka explains that since ancient times, mermaids who wish to become human will turn into sea foam if they fail after a certain period of time. Rei asks about that time limit, but Kyoka says she cannot reveal it. Still, she tells him not to worry, because she will definitely become human, and even if she does not, she will have no regrets. Repeating the same phrase, she says that day will bring a new version of herself, which is why she wants to live fully in the present. And not only through dancing, every day she falls in love with more human things. That is why she will do whatever it takes to live in the human world with her own legs. Rei acknowledges that she is truly strong. Kyoka proudly agrees. In response, Rei promises that he will be waiting for the day she finally dances freely. Just then, the bell rings, and they part ways as Kyoka walks away. Rei assumes that they both have something in common. Both of them once came to hate themselves. After this, the class finally comes to an end. However, Isaki asks him for a moment because she wants to tell him something important. She says she does not know how to express it, and that he might think she is strange. Rei replies that he would never think that, and asks her to tell him anyway. Isaki then explains that she is a bit unusual. There are times when she becomes somewhat bold or wild, and she cannot control it. Because of that, she does not know what he would think if he ever saw her in that state. Rei seems to understand what she means, but Isaki suddenly runs away. After that, Aneda approaches Rei and asks if he is thinking about something indecent or if he likes Isaki. Kyoka then starts imagining a relationship between a human and a non-human, saying that it sounds very romantic to her. However, she warns Rei not to get the wrong idea. Later on, Rei makes it clear that he would never have a relationship with a student because he does not want any trouble. He then goes to see Sao Tome. To him, she seems like a beautiful and wonderful woman, and he even thinks it would be better to date a co-worker instead. At that moment, Sao Tome notices Rei and gives him some cookies that she made.
Albion Online is a sandbox MMORPG in which you write your own story.
This makes Ray
Sorry guys about the ad again.
She made them for a science class experiment, since science is the basis of cooking. She explains that the Maillard reaction and caramelization give cookies their aroma. This brings Ray back to reality, especially when he sees her also giving the cookies to Joss. Later at Ray's house, we see him playing a horror game. As usual, his loud screaming causes his mother to come upstairs and scold him again. She reminds him that he needs to go to sleep because he has work. Ray tells her that it is fine, which reassures his mother since she knows he is working with other people. She then leaves his room. This makes Ray think it is true that he is working with other people, even if they are not human. The next day, he is back at school. He mentions that Isaki is in charge for the day. Although she does everything properly, she is usually very shy. He then remembers what she said the day before, until he hears the students laughing at the word papaya. When he enters the room, he sees a completely different Isaki. She greets him very cheerfully and starts teasing him about his appearance, joking that if he were her boyfriend, she would have already dumped him. This leaves Ray confused, since he does not recognize this shy Isaki at all. She comments that not sleeping well affected his skin and asks if he wants her to talk to him using Isaki tonic. Hearing this, Ray is shocked and asks if she is actually Isakami. The wolf girl answers yes and asks if he did not notice because this is the first time he has seen her like this. Seeing how similar she looks, Ray understands that it really is her, although she is dressed differently. Isaki then approaches him and asks if he likes her or why he keeps staring at her. The protagonist explains that he is just surprised because she looks different. Isaki assumes he is right and adds that no one probably imagined she would have such a great figure. Ray blushes and stops her.
Okay guys, if you mean it, please follow, like and subscribe.
Something they call split personalities. Isaki adds that since there is a full moon tonight, this version of Isaki is at school for the first time in a long while. Ray asks if this Ogami is different from the usual one. Isaki answers yes. However, she also explains that the normal Isaki remembers everything that this Isaki sees and hears. Because of that, the normal Isaki will remember everything that happens now. For this reason, she advises him not to try anything strange with her. The protagonist is a bit confused because she refers to herself in the third person. He asks if they share the same name. Isaki gets slightly annoyed and writes the differences on the board, explaining that one name comes from kanji and the other from hiragana. Ray obviously does not understand this. Later during the break, Isaki approaches him and asks which of her lipsticks looks prettier. Ray questions whether they are really different, but Isaki explains that one is coral pink and the other is blossom pink. Clearly, Ray cannot tell the difference, but Isaki tells him that she was going to choose the color he liked more. Since she noticed that he has an otaku aura, she thought he would like modest girls. She then asks him about his type of girl. Ray starts describing his ideal woman and concludes that she is someone modest. All of this sounds very specific to Isaki. After hearing that, the girls assume that he likes someone and ask him to tell them who it is, but he avoids answering. The girls suggest that he should say it since it would make him feel better. Ray firmly refuses. With no other choice, the girls give up. However, Isaki mentions that since he likes modest girls, she will do her makeup as a modest gyaru. Ray wonders if there are actually different types of gyaru. Leaving that aside, he looks at her and comments that she looks like a completely different student. In a panel change, we see a small Isaki locked inside a cell during the full moon. She wonders if this is her fault. She begs to know what she did wrong for everyone to call her a mixed blood. She asks why she cannot be like the others and why she alone turns into a human. Isaki boldly asks the protagonist to guess which lipstick she finally chose. Ray focuses on the color, so he answers that she chose coral pink. Isaki confirms it and asks what he thinks about it. Ray replies that it looks fine and that it looks tasty. This leaves the girls confused. The protagonist immediately realizes what he said and turns pale. The girls conclude that he is a pervert. Ray tries to clarify that he was referring to the mint flavor, but no one believes him. While they are eating, the girls notice that the protagonist's meals are not very nutritious. They suggest that he should eat vegetables. Isaki offers him some of her dressing, and she is seen giving him 2 scoops. Rei manages to swallow it, but with difficulty. Isaki is surprised that he actually ate everything. Confused, Rei asks if she did it thinking it would be too much for him. Isaki simply laughs while apologizing. Later, the protagonist is in the teacher's lounge, telling Professor Yuki about what happened. She understands his surprise, explaining that even she was shocked the first time she saw Isaki after the full moon, since she seemed like a completely different person. The protagonist agrees, adding that although she is totally different, she is also the same in certain ways, which makes her even more confusing. Yuki asks what he means. The protagonist explains that the usual Ogami has low energy and appears shy at first glance, but her composure allows her to listen carefully to what others say. On the other hand, the other Ogami has a lot of energy and seems overwhelming, but her prudence allows her to empathize with others. They take different paths, yet both manage to naturally fit in with those around them. Seeing how deeply he is thinking, Yuki comments that it is surprising he was able to understand Ogami on the first day, since it took her some time. At that moment, Professor Satoru arrives and says that wolves are animals that live in packs. Rei asks what he means. Satoru explains that the pack she belongs to now, meaning her friends, is important to her. This does not make sense to Rei because if her friends matter so much to her, he does not understand why she chose to leave her wolf pack and decide to become human. Later, class ends. The protagonist asks Ogami to stay for a moment. Ogami teases him by calling him a pervert and asks what he wants to do. Rei says that he only has one question: why does she want to be human? Upon hearing this, Ogami says that she has her own plans and tries to leave. However, Rei stops her and demands an answer. Ogami makes it clear that her reasons are none of his concern. The protagonist apologizes, which makes Ogami feel guilty, so she agrees to explain. Rei asks why she said she wanted to become human in order to leave behind her incomplete existence. He asks if that means her 2 personalities would become one. Ogami confirms this and asks him to think about it for a moment, since no one wants their personality to change only during a full moon. This is also what the normal Ogami thinks, because before coming to the school, she once overheard someone saying that she was hated so much that they wished she would die. That hurt her deeply, making her wonder if she was really hated that much. To her, it made sense, because she believed that no one wanted her. For that reason, she thinks it would be better if there were only one Isaki in her body. That is why she wants to fulfill that wish and get rid of the other self, so that only the normal Isaki remains. Rei then asks what she wants, not the normal Ogami, but the one standing there now. Isaki thinks that the normal one has suffered a lot because of her, so she feels she has no right to speak for herself. It is true that she is a wolf woman, but not a normal one. Most wolf people are humans who transform when they see the full moon, but for her it is the opposite. She is a wolf who lives with her pack, but becomes human when there is a full moon. In that state, which is what she is now, she normally should not have ears or a tail, and she can resemble the normal Isaki because of the school's barrier. Rei understands that Isaki wants to become a complete human because she does not want to make the normal one sad. In other words, her human body exists because of the normal side. Isaki confirms this. However, Rei asks whether her disappearance is also part of the normal Isaki's wish. Isaki says yes, or at least that is what she believes. The 2 of them share what they see and hear, but they do not share thoughts or feelings. Still, she says he could ask the normal one tomorrow, since she only appears once a month and is therefore busy. When Isaki is outside, she is certain that the normal one wants the same thing, remembering a painful experience from the past. When she was still a wolf, she once asked her mother why she turned into a different person during the full moon. Her mother answered that human blood flows through her veins, and because of that, cubs like her are sometimes born. Then we see the moment when she was locked up, wondering why they called her a half-breed. She asks herself whether it is because she has no ears or tail or because she did something wrong. She remembers how the other wolves bullied her, biting her and calling her human, saying that she did not belong in their pack. This made her ask the moon why she was different and whether it was wrong for her to be incomplete. She thought that if only one of her existed, wishing to be fully human, everything would be better. Back in the present, it is revealed that
Okay guys, it's almost done.
since the full moon and refuses to let anyone see her, saying that she is fine. At night, the protagonist is playing as usual when his mother enters his room, telling him not to make noise. She asks how school is going. Rei answers that everything is fine, so she only tells him not to build up too much stress before leaving, which leaves the protagonist feeling a bit uncomfortable. Over the following days, Rei and the girls attend classes as normal. However, Isaki does not return, which makes him worried. One night, after staying late at school to work, he decides to check the school grounds before leaving. With a flashlight in hand, he checks to make sure all the windows are locked. At that moment, he hears a noise coming from the advanced classroom. Frightened, he thinks about going to check, but the flashlight batteries suddenly die. Even so, it turns out to be just a small scare. Regaining his composure, he opens the door, and when light shines again, he sees a silhouette. Rei starts screaming, and the silhouette screams as well. After hearing the voice, he realizes that it is Isaki. Once they calm down, they sit down to talk. Rei asks what she is doing there. Isaki explains that she was passing by outside when she saw an open window. Curious about how the classroom looked at night, she climbed a tree and jumped through the window. The protagonist remembers that they are on the 3rd floor, which means she used her animal physical abilities to do something inhuman inside the school, something that could cost her points. Setting that aside, he asks if she is okay or if something happened to her on the day of the full moon. Isaki begins to cry and apologizes, saying she did not want to.
Sorry guys, I accidentally... Wait.
Says that she loves Isaki very much. Rei thanks her for saying it. We then see Isaki in her room. She begins writing to speak with her other self for the first time. First, she apologizes for the misunderstanding that started everything. She confesses that she thought she understood everything when she said, "I want to be human," because Isaki is human. But now she realizes that she misunderstood her own words. She remembers telling the teacher that the other Isaki was suffering because of her, and that she herself was the cause. Isaki never thought that two versions of the same person could blame themselves like that. However, she realizes that it is very hard to understand each other without expressing things clearly. Now she wants to understand better how the other Isaki truly feels. She writes that being closer than any two people could be means there is still a lot they do not know about each other. She asks if they want to take turns daily writing in the same notebook. She ends by saying that she hopes for a reply. 1 month later, the protagonist arrives at class, and the other, Isaki, appears. She asks if he remembers that Isaki said some terrible things last month. The protagonist asks which Isaki she is referring to. Continuing the conversation, she shows him the notebook where she wrote her message. Since they share memories, she already knows what it says. From now on, they will share a diary where they write what they think and feel. Because of that, she now wants to stay as Isaki, but she also wants to be human so she can wear cute clothes and makeup. So they will be talking to each other a lot. She says she only wanted him to know this, then thanks him for his help and leaves. Rei comments that everything passed like a storm, and as he looks at the window, he notes that it is already summer.
Okay guys, the video and bye!